audience engaged for full immersion.
The world's most immersive movie experience begins now.
Hello and welcome. My name is Jay Wilson and I am one of the founders of Esoteric Disclosure. So, founders of Esoteric Disclosure with my esteemed colleague, Mr. Luke Stein, of which we will be receiving a full picture story in the same way you're receiving from me about the reason where and why we got to Esoteric Disclosure and why we are here looking to uncover the truth of this world and the hidden secrets that are being hidden from all of our entities on this planet. So what I felt was important, and both Luke and I felt this, is that, you know, it's important for us to do this video to give you an introduction to who I am, what happened to me, and why I am now a researcher and why I'm seeking the truth. So without further ado, we're just going to get into my story. It's quite a weird and wonderful and crazy story. I'm not going to do this with anybody else interviewing me. I'm just going to run this straight through. And if I can remember everything, because it has been a while since this event occurred, you know, we'll get into it and I'll share it with you. So, to start from the beginning. So if we go back to about, well, when I met Luke, start from there when I went travelling. I'm not going to mention names here, but I'll mention people that are in my life in terms of people, beings, you know. I was with a woman and we ventured. So we sold our house and we went travelling. Now, through that travelling experience, when I got to Australia, I lived there for about 7 months. I started work for a company, Citibank actually, interestingly enough, being Citibank, one of the major corporations that maybe even control this world. And I met a chap called Luke Stein. Now, the interesting thing about when I met Luke was, at this stage, I wasn't really spiritual. There were some things that happened to me when I was young, right? When I was young, when I was 2, I always had this feeling inside me that something wasn't right. Even from when I was born, I didn't believe that what we were being told in this reality was the truth. And I said to my mum, why do we all, and I said to my mum, why do we talk to each other when we can hear each other's thoughts? I said, that's what I was when I was 2. And my mum said, that's one of the things that we don't discuss. And from then, you know, it skipped a generation with my mum. And my grandma is the head of a very renowned spiritual community in Los Angeles. And my father was a Mason, unfortunately, recently, well, passed in 2012. So the bloodlines are interesting, Jewish and Masonic, my mother being Jewish. And then sort of probably a year or so later, I experienced, I mean, it was pretty much every day, where I would find myself awake and above my parents' house, attached to a cord from my body. That was at the beginning. I used to fly around the vicinity and I could see all of the people's houses, and I could travel into the neighbour's house and go into their rooms and everyone was asleep. Obviously when I'm 2, 3, 4, you know, and to be honest, it's quite difficult to pick on exactly how old I was when all this happened. When this happened, I didn't know that this was astral projection, and I didn't know that hypnosis and telepathy were real. I didn't even know what telepathy was. So I then had this ever-aged question, and that question was, what happens when you die? Because to me, to say that when we die, the world ends and we are put into a hole or burn into ashes, and that's the end. To me, even when I was 3 or 4, 2, whatever, it's just not possible to me. I knew it was a lie. Anyway, this happened, and happened up till I was about sort of 5 or 6 years old. And the way that things happen, and we know that our senses and our molecular DNA structure has been restricted, and the things in our food and chemtrails and symbolism and the media and everything. What that does is it deactivates your receptors, and slowly things started to work out. And the telepathy never went right. Telepathy has been something that's been natural to me forever. And you can't go to somebody and say, I can listen to all your thoughts, because if you do that, instantly that person thinks that you listen to everything they think. Where in reality, when you've been able to do telepathy since you were such a small age, if I couldn't and didn't learn how to control my telepathy, I would probably actually go clinically insane. And that's something else that's interesting, is the whole the mental health act, and the ones that are actually mentally ill, and then others that are completely unaware of the fact that they have abilities, and that the voices that they hear actually are voices, and it is telepathy. There are others, and this is the split in terms of where the mental health act comes in. And I don't want to diversify too much. Let's get back to the story. Anyway, so yeah, I can walk down the street, concentrate on someone, and listen to them thinking about the fact that they think they left the door unlocked, and they've got to go to the next shop, and worried about their wife, and it's endless. But obviously what I've done is I've learned how to control and use it when I need to use it, right? I don't need to use it all the time. If I couldn't control it, it would have caused major problems. So, this has been with me for my whole life. But because of my surroundings, my atmosphere, my environment even, I kind of just knew that one day I would find out, right? And it was a question that I asked, and I used to lay in bed, and some kids, they lay in bed and they, some women, they want to get married, and some guys, they want to be rich, and they dream about being a doctor, or a pilot or something. And for me, I just used to sit there and think about what happens when you die. And it wasn't really a mortality or morbid thing to think. It was more that I didn't believe that we could be these entities that lived on this earth that essentially just die and don't come back, right? So this was my everlasting question that stuck with me. Time went on, and I'm not going to go through what I don't want to do. This video is talk too much about everything that happened, right? I don't need to tell you about my history. What I need to do is tell you about where I was when I met Luke, who's now the founder of Esoteric Disclosure with me, and those events that led up to the event that occurred. So we're going to skip a lot, and we're going to go fast forward now to where we were, and when I met Luke. So I'm in Australia, I can go as deep as to say Melbourne, and I walked into Citibank, met this guy. It was a little bit strange. Lovely guy though. I mean, him and I, we're here off. Got on very well from the beginning, really. And I spent probably 3-4 months in St Kilda with the woman that I was with, and we had a flat, and got to know this guy Luke. We went off DJing together, and we had a few residences and some nice little house clubs. One club was called Suede, I think, in Melbourne. We had a great time. And we were working with Citibank, selling debit cards, switching people from credit to debit cards. The interest is insane in Australia. And Citibank came in and offered this sort of transfer your credit card balance to 6%, I think it was. Luke will probably correct me. So yeah, we had a fantastic time. Now all along, and you'll hear this when you hear Luke's story, right? All along, Luke was fully spiritually aware, and really, I'm not afraid to say this. Really, you know, I was and had been completely obsessed with getting rich, to earning money, to this, the way the system wants you to be, right? This sheep that thinks about earning money, being rich, which we know is the root of all evil. I met Luke. Luke tried to introduce me to some of these things, and to be honest, I didn't really listen. But there was a connection, and that connection will, as we go through the story, become more apparent. So, anyway, time goes on. I come back from travelling. I went back to the UK, got a job, was working, and I had an offer to go and live in Spain. So some of my family members was living over in Spain, and you know, I was working for a recruitment company, it's just general sales. Didn't really think much of it, so I thought it'd be time to go and, you know, explore pastures new. As I'd already been to 30 countries and travelled around the world for a year, it was nothing new to me, right? So I went off to Spain. Without going too deep into this part of the story, we'll get to the part that's important. And what's interesting about this is that I travelled with 33 countries, I think it was, with my ex, and I was looking for the answers to these questions, but I never really found anything, you know. I've been to all the Asian countries, I went to monasteries, I met monks and Buddhas and all these different types of things, but just never have a spur to answer the question. And that's simply because, for some reason, I wanted to know the answer to the question about what happens when you die. And that question will become apparent as we go through this story, because I can tell you that when you ask to know a question, to know the answer to a question, over time, you will know the answer if you ask for long enough. And sure enough, as we go through this story, you'll learn that I found that answer. And I found myself moving to Barcelona. And when I moved to Barcelona, this series of events occurred that drew me to move into a specific flat. And when I moved into this flat, lived with 4 gay guys in this flat, and I was with a different woman when I'd moved to Spain. It's a different story. And interestingly, the woman that I was with at the time was very, very spiritual and really wanted to meditate every day. And you know, I still just wasn't interested. It just wasn't my thing, you know. And it wasn't because I didn't believe it, it's just because it never really came to me that was the path I needed to explore. So, I'm working in Barcelona, running my own country, and I employed somebody that worked for one of the central banks. Came in, found out that he was a high-level mason, and started to tell him a little bit about my story and a little bit about who my dad was and a few other little things, and that spurred a conversation between him and I, and he actually knew who my dad was, interestingly enough. And it turns out my dad was reasonably high up in the Masons from what I found out. And without going into too much information here, one thing that he told me was, don't go down this rabbit hole, because sometimes it's better to just not know, right? And then I found a book called Codex Magica, and I read Codex Magica. After I read Codex Magica, I was living in my flat, beautiful balcony, and this chap, I later found out, was a witch from the Basque Country. Now, you can do your research. The original witches, not what the millennials called pagans, but real pagans, were originated from the Basque Country. So, I met this chap. He sat down with me and said, I have come to Barcelona specifically to find you. I used my crystal from crystal searching powers to come and find you, to let you know that there's an event that's going to happen and you need to be prepared for it before it happens. Unbeknownst to me, he asked me to look and start working on meditation with him. And, you know, it's interesting, and I kind of didn't quite really believe it, and said, okay, well, tell me more about this. So we talked about my bloodlines, and we talked about my mother, and he told me a lot of things about myself that, you know, no one could really know unless there's, well, you have to have some sort of researching, some sort of power. And it turns out that it's back through an order of people that have requirements and needed certain people to do certain things. So, my first day of my training, which is interesting actually, he said, we're going to go sit on a really nice balcony, and it's a nice setting, so we're going to go sit out on the balcony, and I'm going to talk you through the first stages of meditation. You know, I've done Kung Fu when I was younger and things, and I thought we were going to, I didn't really know what meditation was, if I'm honest. And so I put my tight vest on, and I put my trousers on, and I'm out there and I'm doing stretches and stuff. And he's come out and he's gone, what are you doing, mate? And I've gone, well, I'm getting ready, all pumped up for this. And he went, no, I don't think you quite realise what it is that we need to do. And then we sat down, and he started explaining to me techniques on how to get your mind to 0 point. That's where it started. And we set about creating a circle, earth, wind, fire, water. Inside that circle, creating the circle of protection. We sat in the middle of the circle, cross-legged. And he taught me through these techniques of how to get to 0 point. And then, what I'll do is I'll put into the links a video that I was led to watch that started my techniques off, so that I could start to understand the process that I need to go through. And later, as the story goes on, you will understand that the reason I had to go through this process was because I needed to be consciousness. I needed to be fully aware because I was about to die. So I'll put the link in the comments. I watched the video. Then I sat down with my teacher, and we went through techniques on crystal healing, on crystal meditation, on meditation to 0 point, and white light candle meditation. Now, I also had to go through a process of stop smoking, stop drinking, stop doing drugs, and yet, unfortunately, you know, through my life I've experimented with different drugs from different times. Thankfully don't do them anymore, and you'll see why. And eat healthy, clear my mind and my body to enable me to be able to get to 0 point to start with. What is 0 point? 0 point in terms of meditation is clearing your mind. This whole theory of making it so that you are free of thought. When you're free of thought is when you can accept the global energy that exists. We can all accept it, and it heals our bodies, and it heals our nervous systems, and it can remove diseases, it can extend your life. And I went through this process, and this process was that after I'd been taught the techniques, and some of the techniques, I'm not going to sit down and I'm not going to tell you what they are. By all means, you can inbox me, and I'm going to start putting these on the channel. And this is one of the big moves, really, is for me to first of all come out and talk to everyone about this, and then secondly to start revealing all of the techniques, of which I, you know, after speaking with my teachers from the Basque Country, I'm allowed to do it. You know, this is what disclosure is all about, right? This is about sharing knowledge, and this is the big thing that's not happened since the 30s, since the World War One and World War Two, and you know, I'm not going to get into all of these theories and research that I've done, because this video is just not about that. So, in the course of the next 6 months, as I said, I stopped smoking, stopped doing any type of drugs, ate free, went out jogging, and meditated for 6 months, every day, 3 to 5 hours a day. Various different techniques with my closed circle on my own. My teacher came and explained to me what I'd be doing, and then left and went back to the Basque Country. Because we created a channel, we could communicate, because he was telepathic, as am I. Some people are going to find this hard to believe, but that's fine. That's what disclosure's all about, right? Whilst I was in my meditative sessions, I could communicate with him, and he could give me advice and teach me how to do certain things. So, in short, and in an easy theory, you have your chakras, and what you need to do is you need to open and balance your chakras. You can do that various different ways. The easiest way to do that is through a process called Kundalini meditation. I'll put a link to a really informative website underneath this video that will take you through the process of activating your light body, which is opening your chakras. Your energy ball sits in your root chakra, which is essentially where your tail is. It's probably the easiest way to explain it. And that's where our soul sits. And the reason that I believe, and the reason that we should have been doing meditation since the beginning, since you were born, when you was in school, at the beginning, you shouldn't have been doing RE, religious education. You should have been doing meditation courses. And the reason that we don't do that in schools is that, unfortunately, the cabal and these 4 super families and the higher above those super families that really rule this world, have us in a time lock and don't want us to know how to wake up our spirit, our soul. They don't want us to be conscious when we die. They don't want us to know that when we stop breathing, our light body leaves our body, and they have us in a time lock, and we are reincarnated back into this earth, and our memories are washed. And that's the cycle that's happened for so long. and it doesn't matter what you want to say or whether you do or don't believe it. I know it to be true because I've seen it and I've been there and I've done it, and they didn't take me and they did not make me forget. So I still remember everything. I remember my first life, and I've got techniques now that enable you to remember not just this life but every life. I'll put a link in for that actually as well. It's a great little sort of practice to enable you to do past life regressions. So I've gone back through all my past lives, and that's maybe for another video. I might do a live past life regression session, just to maybe take you back through what I've already seen. Anyway, let's think about this. So, 6 months worth of meditation. Open your chakras. You do that with Kundalini meditation. Kundalini is a form of Indian meditation, which you use mudras. Now, the pagans actually, the guys from the Basque Country didn't teach me this, and what I used to do is, because I was so, once this has happened to me, and I met this guy, and he told me that there was a purpose for me to know this information, and that there was an event that was going to happen, that if I didn't understand and know it, that maybe I wouldn't be able to take advantage of who I am and potentially what I can do, right? So I went through this process of opening my chakras. I used to run an office, so once I was in the office I used to shut the door. I had some people working for me out there, and I had a blinds in my window, and I could close the window, and it's sort of semi-soundproof, and I could hear some of the noises. They thought I was pretty fucking crazy, if I'm honest. Yeah, I went through these mudras. And I also went through this process of, the easiest way to explain it, once you've got to 0 point, once you can clear your thought, and by the way, to clear thought, if you've never done this since the beginning of your time, it takes a long time, because what you need to do is you need to overcome and think about everything that has happened in your life, and you have to process it and uncompartmentalise your compartmentalised mind, and decompartmentalise, right? And you need to see all your thoughts and understand everything that's happened to you and accept everything. And before you do that, you truly can't bring energy into your body. There are so many different techniques to do this. I used a specific technique which is in this video. I've later found other techniques as well that enable you to be able to do this a little bit quicker. But that's the bottom line is meditation is about clear thought. Once you get past clear thought, and that's what a lot of people want or are trying to get to, is that now I do meditation and nothing happens. The reason nothing happens is, number one, you don't have technique. Number two, once you've cleared a thought is when meditation really starts, right? So what you do is that once your chakras are open and they're turning in the right direction, clockwise, not anti-clockwise, and they're balanced, and then you as a person become more balanced. And when you open your chakras, they enable you to be able to control your emotions. And these are the reasons why that we're not, these Eastern philosophies are not brought into the Western world, because obviously if you was to learn how to control your emotions, then fear is an emotion, and fear is what they use to control most of us, okay? And that's why we don't argue, and that's why we don't stand up and say, why have you not disclosed this information to give us free energy, and why are we still burning fossil fuels and driving cars with a technology that are 100 plus years old? Why have we not advanced past this stage, this industrial revolution? Because they don't want you to be past that stage in that industrial revolution. That's the bottom line. So once you open your chakras, and I had a fantastic moment. It's been a number of fantastic moments, but whilst I was going through this meditation, each chakra that you open, you bring in light. And the best one, and some of them came slowly and didn't happen much, but my third eye chakra, when I actually fully opened that third eye chakra, and I went through sun gazing, where you gaze at the sun at certain times, just after sunrise and just before sunset, so it doesn't burn your eyes. I've done that for a long time, and probably every day for 3 or 4 months. And I think it was probably about month 3, month 4 through my meditation process, I was sat in my office, legs crossed, the whole lot, doing my mudras, and my head went back, and obviously my eyes are closed, and my head went back, and my mouth opened, and I just had this gush of purple light, like that, just come into my body. It was so intense, but I could just remember feeling how fantastic that feeling was. It was almost in my mouth, in my head, on top of my head. And it felt as though I was floating off the chair. Obviously, maybe I was floating off the chair. I was in a very deep meditative state at that stage. I'd been meditating for probably the best part of 2 hours in the office. It was amazing. It really was amazing. And at all these points and junctures, my teacher would appear to me, and we would talk about what just happened. And absolutely fantastic. So what happened is another technique I used. You imagine your body to be a flat bowl, so your feet, where your feet are to where your neck is like a tank of water, a thin sort of tank of water, and you bring the energy in. Don't forget, you've got to have your circle, right? It's really important to have your circle, because there are a number of entities here, and once you start opening your chakras, and these are the main things that my teachers used to teach me, was that what's important is learning how to defend yourself before you travel into different dimensions, because multi-dimensional travel is real, and I'm going to tell you about that in this story too. And I've done it many times, and experienced a lot of things. The only thing is that if something happens to you when you're in another dimension, you don't come back to this body, which means you die. So you really do need to be protected, right? It's pretty important that you learn how to protect yourself. So it starts with the circle, and then you have to build energy, and this is what you're doing now. The technique I'm talking to you about the tank, what happens is you come to 0 point, which means you're clear of thought. When you come to clear of thought when you meditate, and what happens is you fall asleep. So that's the first stage of meditation, right? Is getting to the point where you lay there and every single memory, and watch the video that I'll send you how to meditate. It's from an ancient Indian meditative teacher, amazing video. Watch the thing from beginning to end because it takes you right through to astral projection. Astral projection in this dimension, it doesn't talk about anything else that I'm going to talk to you about after this dimension. You stay in this dimension in that video, but you know, I'm not going to tell you how to open star portals. I'm just going to say that they exist. So what you have to do is that once you've awakened your chakras and you've aligned your chakras, things become sight. So it's like what you can see in HD. It changes through the period of time that you build up your energy. The more you build up your energy, you open your chakras and you do the technique where you get to 0 point of thought, and then you bring energy in through your head. It goes down through your neck, and then it goes into this vessel, which is your body, that you turn into a tank. That tank, it has a wave. That wave goes up and back, and what you do is you keep it, and once you get to a point with it, it'll come in, and your head will flick, and you'll feel the wave go down, and your feet will flick, and the wave comes back. What you keep doing is you keep passing that wave, and as you do it, you add more energy, and you continue and continue. Now, this is where white light meditation comes into it, and candle meditation. So you use a candle. You can use a candle to draw energy from, but at the same time, what the candle does is keep you in a meditative state and stops you from falling asleep. So once you've gone to 0 point, you've got no thought, you fall asleep, clunk, clunk, you're just going to fall asleep. So you have your circle, you obviously have your protective circle, and that in that protective circle is fire, and that fire is the candle, and then you obviously have earth, and wind is your joss stick. Water is a bottle of water, it's that simple. You know, you have to cleanse the circle and cleanse the space, and this is getting into witchcraft, and some people who watch this go, well, okay, well, does that mean that you're a fucking witch? Probably, yeah, but only white witches, right? The point with dark and light, and the difference between you studying black magic and studying white light meditation and white magic. You don't need to use magic. Magic is for people that are not in tune with their spirit, with their soul, with their light body. It's like a cheat, right? The black magic. It's not a requirement. And the thing they say about if you use magic, what comes back to you times 3, it's really true. And I've done it, so I've experienced it. Because obviously, you know, there's been times when I thought I could try and experience it and maybe use a little bit of the dark side, as they call it, but it's never worked out well for me. So, yeah, okay, I've studied some kind of witchcraft and I've worked with pagans. Let's get into this meditation, right? So, you're doing this meditation, and what that's doing is building up your energy, building up your soul, because it's like a battery that needs to be charged. And once you're charged, that's when you can travel and you can do things, and you can experience other dimensions. You can experience astral projection in this dimension, and so much more. So anyway, a tank that's building up, and like I said, what happens is your sight becomes clearer, becomes HD. Your hearing becomes so much clearer. You can hear from miles away. You can hear conversations, and that's because your energy is built up. And also, there's more to this, and there are elements of mind control, and there are techniques that you can use to make people do what you want them to do. But you don't do that because there are laws from the Federation and from the Confederation, and one of those laws is you can't break free will. And once you get charged, you can break free will, but it never ends well, I can assure you, if you try and do it. So, also, my telepathy became a lot stronger. my ability to remote view became a lot stronger. So time's gone on. I've done this training now. It's about 4 or 5 months in. I've opened my chakras, I've balanced them all. I've been doing my energy meditation for a very long time. I mean, I used to do 3 to 5 hours a day and then all night. Because another thing is when you do this type of meditation, you don't need to sleep. You don't need to eat as much and you don't need to sleep as much. Because your body is clear and doesn't have purity, which means that you can, when you're meditating, you're not sleeping. Okay. Also studied lucid dreaming and learned how to become awake in my dreams, and that's a part of your training when you are going to go and perform and undertake missions in different dimensions for specific people, for cults, for women, for pagans. Yeah, it's true. And this is what free will is about, right? So what I didn't know is this is what my training was leading me to. And there was more to what happened. So one day my friend came over and he had a hotel in Barcelona, just down from Universitat Square. And we were quite high up, little balcony. We went out on the balcony. I've been training now for 4 months. And I'm going to just tell you a few things now that after about the 4th, 5th month started to happen. So we was on the balcony and that's with my friend, I'm not going to say his name. And we were talking, I explained the whole story to him and he was like, nah, fuck off, mate. You ain't done all this. This ain't happening to you. You ain't that special. Which is, we're all special, right? It's just certain people ask certain questions from when they're very young and some don't, and therefore, sometimes you don't get the answers that maybe you should be getting. So we're still on the balcony and I said to him, what I'm going to do is I'm going to control somebody. I'm going to get them to stop walking, turn around and wave at us. And he went, no, you're fucking not, mate. And I said, yeah, I am. I said, I'm going to do it now. So I concentrated all my energy onto a woman that was walking with a scarf on. And I said, right, I'm going to tell her now. And he went, what do you mean? And I studied and pushed all my throat, fought through my third eye, pushed onto us. And I said, stop now. And turn around, take your scarf off and wave at us. And lo and behold, I'm not even joking. She went like this. She went. And I said to my mate, now wave back at her. And he waved back at her. And then I said to him, now carry on like you didn't know anything happened. I know, 2 or 3 hours, we sat there playing this game with him. And it was fun. And, there were some other times. So, when I was going through my training on how to do this element of mind control, I went onto the tube in Barcelona. And I walked onto one of the carriages, and you got to remember, I'm really charged now. I felt as though when I was walking, I felt as though I was floating, I was bouncing when I was walking. And I walked into the carriage, and I just went, it was a full carriage, and I just went, everybody sit down now, move out the way, as I walked through. And the whole carriage, all at once went, sat down like that, and they all looked like they were in a trance. And I walked through the carriage, and went through into the next one, and did it in the next one. I did it in 3 carriages, and then I had a message from one of the teachers saying, "What do you think you're doing? You can't do this in this public place with those cameras on you doing this. You must stop and get off the train now." So I thought, I stopped and got off the train. Another time, so obviously what happens when you study this, Reiki, which is energy healing. So energy healing is, it's just energy, right? And what you do is you have the ability to be able to charge your body, okay? When you charge your body, energy can come from above, or it can come from your heart. And you can push energy around your body. And once you train, energy can flow, and that's how people can do things like telekinesis. And you know, I've done some small telekinesis tests when I was training. I can't do it now. I can move small things like this. They would roll back to me. It's been a while, and you know, this happened in 2010, and it's now 2018, and I've not trained since, and you'll know why I haven't. You'll understand. And this is where esoteric disclosure comes in now, is that, you know, it's time for me to bring out this story that I've never told anybody, and I've told a few, and start to build a picture from other people and go further, you know, and that's where Tony Rodriguez' Secret Space Program and other things come into play, right? Is that my side of what's happened is purely spiritual, and that's why it's esoteric disclosure for us. And Luke, my colleague, is a very spiritual guy, and him and I both have that element inside us, accompanied with, since the year 2002-3, constant research on this topic till today, and on, obviously. So anyway, telekinesis, I move things slowly back, slowly forward. I never really tried to do a lot more with that. So I did a lot of Reiki healing. I was doing a lot of tarot card reading as well to people that I know, and you know, stuff, people from my office and that type of stuff. You know, when tarot cards is an interlink to the divine and to the divine cosmos and to the unified oneness of mind, which is what happens and what you'll learn when the more meditation you do, the more unified to the one you become, and the one is the one consciousness. It's not God, it's consciousness. Anyway, so I'd been out and I went to a nightclub and I'd done a set. I'm a DJ, been a DJ since I was about 18. I'd done a set, and I finished my set. It was on a beach, and we'd all started sunbathing and a few drinks and stuff. And they all knew I was spiritual. I used to look at their auras and tell everybody what colour their auras were and things. And, you know, aura's another thing that you can start to see when you energise your body, right? And there's a French girl, and she had a really bad leg. She was laying on the beach, and she was rubbing her leg. And I know who she was. She was part of a group of friends that I was with, really know her. And they were like, Jay, come on, you can make a leg better, can't you? And I was like, probably can. So I sat down, and you know, everyone was around me, and I started to build my energy in my body, and the heat started to come, because when you do Reiki, it really heats up. The heat started to come here on my leg, and I'm going, and then I've gone into my meditative state, and I've gone clear of mind, and I'm just working her leg, and within about 25 minutes, she was asleep. She was in such a deep sleep. I mean, I was pricked up. I can go for, at that time, I could go for a while, right? You know, my energy was high, so I could keep going. I did about 30 minutes on her. She was asleep. We then carried her back to one of the girls' houses. She then slept for 2 days, didn't wake up, and then woke up and her leg was completely better. Better to the point where before she was limping for a month, and it was gone. Everything was gone. From that day forward, those friends were a little bit fucking spooked out about me, to be honest. You know, they invited me around and I did a reading for, there's like 7, 8 girls in there and probably 4 or 5 guys, and I did a reading for each of them, and you know, there was arguments. A girl left, found out that, you know, there was a girl that was cheating on her husband. There was a girl that was pregnant and wasn't from the boyfriend that was there, and you know, I just exposed all of that to these people, and even some of our friends, they were upset, and you know, that's what happens though when you read tarot and you read it with a group of people. And I said that I wanted to take them off all individually to do the reading. They were like, no, we all want to be here when you do. So you know, that's how I did it. Okay, so now we get into this place, right? Now we get into this place where all of a sudden, when I'm doing my meditation, I I started to be able to, I had this feeling, I was so charged, so energised, that I had the feeling that my spirit could go through my neck chakra. And my teacher came from the Basque Country, and we had a long conversation about how you de-shackle your soul, right? Because that's the part that I remember when I was a kid that I could do. I had this cord that was stuck to me, and it's about being able to come back to your body without the cord, and that's very difficult to do. So, I got taught the techniques on how to do it, and I laid in my bed, and all of a sudden, I did it. The first day I did it, and I'm laying on my bed, and I'm above myself laying on my bed. And I just remember it as I look down at myself when I'm looking down, laying on the bed, and I like this green outline of me, right? And I'm like, I've done it. You know, this is a month of sitting there trying to project myself through my throat chakra, right? I've done it. She said, well. So then I'm walking around the house. What I later found out is all 4 of those gay guys that lived in the house, and by the way, I'm not gay, and there was no interaction with me with those guys other than purely platonic friends. You know, I'd already been with a girl and moved into a girl in that place, and, you know, I hadn't said to you that I finished with that girl, still not being spiritual, and then met this chap that came to the house after she had gone, which is interesting in itself. But sometimes everything's meant to be, right? So, I moved. Come on. So it started then. For the next sort of 4 or 5 days, I didn't go to my office. I'll tell you that now. I've got a manager that worked there and used to run that. I was the head director, so I didn't have to always go in. It wasn't important. Still make money, and unfortunately, you know, that's what this trap is about, right? Is that for you to eat and for you to live, you have to make money, and that's what traps us. Is that for that best part of our day, from that 9 o'clock until 6:30, we're not at home. We are trapped in an office, right? So I de-shackled, and I could go around, and these guys. It turns out that all these guys are from the Basque Country, and they're all fucking witches. So it became a bit of a running joke. I'd go and sit on the telly, with my projection, and they'd be like, Jay, will you go back to your body and stop fucking projecting around this house? And it went on and on, because I was training. They knew I was training. They've done this, right? So it just went on and on. A month passes. I'm going into their bedrooms when they're asleep. I'm trying to flick them. I can't, because I couldn't. In this dimension, you when you're projecting, it's very difficult to touch something, to hold it. So I'm trying to flick them, and they can feel it. You know, it's like a, but you don't actually. So, you know, waking, will you get the hell out of my bedroom? For God's sake, why are you in my bloody bedroom again? And you know, it's just ongoing hilariousness, really, if I'm honest. All up through this, I told you that I don't and stop doing drugs, and this is a key, pivotal part of this story, right? So, from this point, I then went from travelling around that room to being able to leave my body and travel globally. And I didn't try at this stage to go to other planets. And, you know, I didn't even think about it because I was told I couldn't yet. So I was flying around the world, and I'd go and visit different sites, different places. I could travel. You can travel fast. Once you can leave your body, once you train and practice, you can be in places quickly. And you'll hear from Luke that Luke's a few levels up from me where I was then, right? I mean, Luke can blink himself to places in this dimension and others. I physically still have to fly, so I travelled around the world. My teacher came back, and we sat down together, and he said to me, now we're going to we're going to teach you now. You've got to this stage, and that you've got to the point, and in the video you see the astral projection that I sent you. The only reason I'm going to tell you to watch the video about the meditation is because what this does is it explains every single step of the process, and the reality is I went through those steps of those processes, so therefore I've experienced it, and the video's spot on. So once you get to that point, and you can astral project globally, I didn't even think about going to planets, because it wasn't still in my mind, right? I couldn't go to a fucking planet when I'm leaving my body, like, what the fuck? First of all, there was an interim piece that I've not explained to you. I'll bring that back and I'll explain it to you. So I told you I was out of my vest and he was going to tell me what to do, and we created these circles, and he came back and he created a circle, sat in the middle. And he said, now he's going to teach me how to use the energy that I've created. And this is usually a third eye now. So, because in this dimension, the 3D and third dimension, you can't see energy, which is outside of this dimension. You can't physically see it. But with your third eye, you can see energy. So I got taught how to create an energy ball and fire it. I got taught how to create an energy disc to use it as a protection, grow small. I got taught how to create an energy staff that you can use, double-handed energy, both hands energy staffs that you. Don't forget, I did martial arts and got up to about a purple belt using nunchucks, Death Stars, butterfly knives. I can use all of those things, which is probably pretty good training for me, right? And you know, it's pretty much why I was very fit, right? Very fit, and I had a serious injury that happened to me when I was quite a lot younger, which stopped me from doing exercise. But my body was very fit then, and these were tools that were going to be given to me. And obviously, this was an interim, and I didn't bring this into the story, and I should have. And it was another stage of my lessons before I got to the astral projection, which was creating energy balls and firing energy balls and creating energy shields. And these are all tools that you'll find out that I needed to use to go into other dimensions. So yeah, taught how to use all these energy shields, and this is used for protection against entities, low resonating entities that have the ability to completely destroy your soul. And if that happens, you die. But it's very difficult to kill a demon, but you can fight them and you can scare them and you can get them to go away, which I've done quite a lot of times. So what I was introduced to, and it's really good to reference a film here, and this isn't me, you know, I only watched this film 2 years ago, but it's so fucking close to the truth, it's insane. It's called Doctor Strange. I think it's a Marvel film or something, and what I got introduced to was a training dimension, okay? So you go through a star portal. I'm not going to tell you how to do that, and, you know, specific people that message me will get from me how to do that, but you need to train first, and you need to be ready to go through dimensional portals, so you can open a star portal in this universe. So start. If you read the Book of Enoch, it explains to you about portals, and stars are portals. The sun is a portal. The moon is a satellite, a man-made satellite, and you can create your own star portals here now. And you can open those portals, you can travel through them as your son. And yeah, this is, you know, it's pretty deep shit now. I mean, we're now getting to a point where I talked to you at the beginning about pretty minor stuff, and then I took you through my training, and then you know, that training was a lot more in depth than that. And I to sit down and explain the whole 9 months, 6 months, whatever it was, and you know, it's been a while for me to explain all that to you every day. So, you know, it's hard. One thing that I do remember, which is so fantastic, in Barcelona they have these, you know, those spinning, you get them on a stick, these spinning stars thing that go in the wind. I used to be able to push them, my energy, and get them to spin, and then get them to go faster and faster. I do it with crystals as well, and get them loose crystals. One of the interesting things that happened, and I know I've paused because I've talked to you about star portals. We're getting to 56 minutes, and I really wanted to make this an hour. So I potentially think what I'm going to do is call this the first introduction to Jay Wilson of Esoteric Disclosure. And I think what's important is that you understand that this is the beginning of what happened to me, right? The truth is that I did stop breathing, and I did leave my body, and what comes after that is an amazing experience. And that's what the point of my junction was to get to understand how to de-shackle my soul, so that when that event happened, I could consciously be awake, so that I knew how to come back. And I'm back, and it's been 10 years and I haven't told anyone. And Esoteric Disclosure is the platform to do this, as well as obviously interviewing amazing people. Like I said to you at the beginning, when I'm talking to people and I'm interviewing people, I'm not just some guy that's worked for 20 years and decided that he was going to go and pick up a video camera and start filming, right? I'm not that guy. I've been to 36 countries, I died and came back, and I have meditated for a very long time and can open portals in this dimension. So, back to the story. So, I was introduced to the training dimension. Now, the training dimension is a place that you can go that is outside this dimension. It's like the Doctor Strange film. It's in it. Watch it. Doctor Strange, absolutely fantastic film. And if it's not Marvel, I'm sorry, but I'm sure you'll find it. It's not Marvel. It's the other one, right? So we got introduced to this dimension. So you open the star portal, and when you open a star portal, you have to know your destination, and you have to make people aware that you're leaving this dimension and that you're going to another dimension. So you do that through smoke, with incense and various other noises. So once that's happened and you've been let into the training dimension, that's when you get to start to learn how to do things like fly. Because when you leave this body, you are your light body. So this means that you automatically can fly. But when you go into these training dimensions, gravity, it's a lot lower, but it isn't not there, which means you still have to train how to fly properly. And I've tried it in this dimension myself, and the idea of those training dimensions and the truth of where you need to get to is that you need to get to be able to bring those powers back from that training dimension into this dimension and control them to really be a master. That's almost going into being Neo from the Matrix, right? And that film has a lot of resonation with me when I watch it. And I'm not the fucking one, man. There's hundreds of us, and we're all the one. That's the truth. It's just we've all been lied to, right? So I'm in this training dimension, and I'm learning how to control the weather. I'm learning how to fly. I'm learning how to grow plants. I'm learning how to create landscapes. And I'm doing this accompanied by my teacher, right? So now we're up to the training dimension. We've gone through my training. There are missions to come. So what I did is I worked for that alliance, for those pagans, and I went on my own to different dimensions, undertaking missions to retrieve certain things, to remove certain demons, and so on. Inside the training dimension, there's a lot of real life missions that come into the training missions, and I'm going to talk to you about those next. So we'll talk about the training missions next time. It's been an hour, and I hope that you guys like this. I know it's a strange setting. I thought I'd just do this as a real life setting in my house, just as a real person, right? So thanks very much for all the listeners of Esoteric Disclosure. I really look forward to telling you and giving you the rest of my story. And for now, love and light, my friends.